That's passed by Gareth Rayner. He takes his place then on the wing. Cook and Horn, the halfbacks. Forwards, Dowes, Swain and King. McMenemy, McNicholas and Jason Smith, the skipper. And the bench, Graham Horn, Barnett Jr., Bailey and Scruton. The coach, who is on his way to South Sydney, of course, come the end of the year, Sean McRae. Now the Saints, Wellens, Gardner, Gilmore, Tallow, Albert, Hooper and young James Roby continuing at scrum half. Fozzard, Cunningham, Mason, Stankovic, Wilkin and Sculthorpe, the captain. And the bench, Edmondson, Bybee, Fasavalu and Ian Hardman. And the coach is Ian Millwood. Well, Hull, their attendances for home Super League fixtures go through the 100,000 barrier tonight.
Shoulders of the youngster, the halfback James Roby, against one of the big stars, of course, Richard Horn. That is going to have a big bearing. Whoever gets on top in that department can walk away with a bonus.
The kick-off from Sculthorpe all along the deck, and it actually hit Richard Horn in the face. And it was Gilmore in very quickly and Stankovic making the tackle. It's Gareth Rayner at dummy half. Paul Cook now, who's been in fine form for Hull this season. Gets to his feet, plays the ball to Richard Swain. He tips it inside, and that is McNicholas, who is airborne by 3 St Helens defenders. Eventually dumped to the ground. And young Kirk Yeeman now. Hull get to the 30-metre mark, deep inside their own territory. It's with Horn. It's helped wide to Jason Smith. Jason Hooper doing a good job on him. That's the last tackle. Oh, and a real mess. A real mess. It was off the feet of Horn. And so...
big mistake there. It was on the final tackle. They really should have had the ball upfield.
So they have to defend then from their own 30-metre line, Hull. They should have been up the other end, as you say. And there's Roby. And here is Sculthorpe. And Sculthorpe wide to Gilmore. And Gilmore is tackled well by Yeeman. Stankovic trying to get away from Paul Cook.
Pretty solid defence from both sides. Ian Millwood realises this is not going to be an easy game. He has seen the start of this season where his pack of forwards have taken command in most of their games.
Gilmore trying to go past Yeeman. Yeeman does well. With McNicholas brings him down. This is the last one for St Helens. Kicked into the in-goal area, but Frisco allows it to run dead. No, Ian Millwood knows this is a difficult place to come because they lost here 30 points to 6 last May and 42-18 in August. They haven't won at the new stadium yet. McNicholas.
Great run there from the centre, Richard Whiting as well. They caught St Helens on the hop with a quick tap.
Swain and Richard Horn away from Sculthorpe and away also from Roby, but Darren Albert with an important tackle. Swain waits the dummy half. It's with Paul Cook, and then infield it comes, and well, Mason was high, but
he was falling.
He was falling.
Well, I think he's been badly done to there.
Ewan Dowes
certainly got straight into it on that angle. Maybe not. Maybe he did have a go at him. Well, the first one, it looked like a slap, but it certainly wasn't on the second. Penalty given, and not surprising by the official Kirkpatrick.
So Hull restart, and they're 15 metres away. And here is Dowes, who suffered the tackle. Cunningham and Fozzard force him back. His legs buckling underneath him. Richard Swain comes wide to Paul King. He's away from Mason, and he's there. I think that might be classed as a double movement. But was Paul King held? It's a big call early for Jerry Kershaw.
Not only that, as the momentum got him over, the ball-carrying arm definitely hits the ground. Is he moving forward? He looks it on that. He certainly looks to have the body movement. We'll see it better from this angle. He certainly had someone around him. I think it's Stankovic. I'm going to go no try. Is he moving? Stankovic stays calm, but does he raise out of his arms? This is a big call from the video referee. I'm going to go negative.
Jerry Kershaw is the man that matters. No try. It's a penalty kick to St Helens for the double movement.
Well, a big let-off there for the St Helens defence. They held back. They allowed the big prop forward, Paul King, to just scythe his way through. Well, the opening 2 minutes, St Helens' defence was so strong in and around the ruck, and it just fell apart on that occasion.
Well, there have been rumours circulating around Hull all day about the fitness or otherwise of Paul Sculthorpe, and I think Bill Arthur is on the case.
That's right, Eddie. Very strong rumour that he was going to be a late withdrawal from the St Helens side, but in actual fact, he hasn't trained for the last 2 days. He's missed the sessions on Thursday and Friday, and he has had a bit of a niggling thigh problem. And there was one moment, we were in the tunnel before the kick-off, and the teams were still out in the warm-up, and Sculthorpe appeared earlier than his teammates, and Coach Ian Millwood was just worried that there was a late problem, but he's out there and he's expected to be a big contributor to this Saints performance tonight.
And interestingly enough, Jason Hooper was the man who was kicking for touch as well. They have a penalty here, St Helens.
That was poor play there by King, who'd been denied the try a few moments earlier. Went right over the top. It makes it quite clear in the rules that once you've made the tackle, you've got to roll away to either side, not over the top of the man. Just a lack of composure there, Eddie.
Indeed, and that penalty, which was pumped into touch, was by James Roby, not by Sculthorpe. Good hands out from Sculthorpe, but not so from Darren Albert, and Sean Briscoe picks it up 10 metres from his own line, tries to play the ball, does so now. Let's go down to the sideline. Dave Hatfield, early thoughts, Dave, about possible men of the match.
Interesting what I've been hearing about Paul Sculthorpe after the way that Andy Farrell threw the gauntlet down with that performance yesterday. You could sort of half expect a comparable figure like Paul Sculthorpe to produce something like that today. Great news for St Helens, who got Nick Fozzard back. Expect the sparks to fly when he comes in contact with Paul King. The one fellow in the Hull side who's really stepped up to the mark and impressed me every time I've seen him, and that's Richard Whiting. Signs from him as well already.
Well, we shall see. 2 penalties apiece, as you've seen. 4 penalties then in the opening 5 minutes of the match, blown by referee Carl Kirkpatrick, and a video referee decision as well. This is Yeeman, who is spun to the ground by Gilmore. Richard Swain. Infield it goes to King. He helps it wide to Richard Horn, who thought about the pass, then moved away from the would-be tackler, taking on Sculthorpe. Stankiewicz there as well. Cunningham finishing him off.
Good work, though, by Hull there. They're utilising the dummy runner. It's something they've done all season.
Jason Smith just dropped the shoulder. Wilkin got a hit in on him, but Jason Smith just ricocheted away. This now is McMenemy. Will go down the short side. Good ball. That's poor from Briscoe. He tried to flick the ball very quickly over the top. They didn't have to do that. They had 3 men on the overlap wide.
Well, they went for the power play. They really should have gone for the kick and position. It really has surprised me. There's nothing better than Sean Briscoe to come into the 3-quarter line. They're caught offside.
Another penalty from Carl Kirkpatrick.
Just lack of composure. At a time, really, and I know that Sean McRae, their coach, would have been wanting the kick into the in-goal area. Position, position, position is so vital in this modern game.
Adrian Gardner for the Saints. Sean McRae just watching on anxiously as this attack from St Helens builds with Fozzard, now with Sculthorpe. Well, if he has had problems, it doesn't look like he's suffering at the moment. Here is Roby, and Roby gets a good pass wide to Gilmore, taking on Yeeman. Cook is there. That's the tackle completed. That's 3 gone. Paul Wellens, Mason. So it might have drifted a little forward, that pass, but the touch judge and referee were happy enough.
Watch for the blindside move. They're going to go for it.
It's with Sculthorpe and Wellens, and he gets the ball away, picked up by Stankiewicz. It went backwards, says the referee. It's the last tackle, and a chance here for Cunningham, and the ball is lost forward. Now the referee wants to see whether it was grounded by Cunningham.
No, he wants to find out how to bring this play back in.
Was there a ball steal?
Yep.
As Cunningham was going over the line, he's asking.
There's no try. He wants to know whether it was deliberately reefed away. I get the impression that he was trying to get rid of the ball. There didn't look to be any arm there. Good job they got behind it. Kenneth Rayner did ever so well, got right underneath. No, they lifted their arms there. This should be a knock-on, scrum down, I feel. Kirk Heeman is the man that the video referee is going to have a little look at. And Rayner bobbling all over the place. And they lift the arms. Now they do.
Nicholas.
Well, the crowd are going balmy here. They feel that Kirkpatrick is not picking up Saints being offside. They're certainly quick. You can see they're coming in on the angle. They're virtually forcing this whole side to go down that one single channel.
Richard Swain. Good tackling by Wilkin and Stankovic on Jason Smith. Here now is McMenemy. Gets the ball away. It will be very tight, this match, I think. Richard Horne is tackled by Jason Hooper. Jason Smith, under pressure from two then. He was clattered when he was in the air. It was Hooper who got to him, I think. The referee is happy enough.
Well, the two touch judges saw it. They obviously feel that Hooper had launched himself, and he had. They've got it absolutely spot on. Not that it took any pain away from Jason Smith, the man who kicked the football.
Well,
they're getting into each other. This is sparking up. Oh, it's like throwing cold water on a chip pan. This is going to explode any time.
Let's get down to the side and Phil Clark.
You know, St Helens do that quite a lot, though. They try to put pressure on kickers, and I know it might sound as though every team should be doing that, but they tend to have a greater focus. You know how important it is. You know, both of these sides have been tremendous in the defence early on, and they are aware of the fact that these two teams are the best when it comes to support play. If somebody makes a break, the fantastic players in both teams to back up and support and convert them into tries. Several players who will be so familiar, so hence the reason why both sides have played such conscious effort in their defensive effort. And I also think it's just worth early in this game pointing out Paul King. One of coaches throughout this league, giving him a lot of respect at the moment. He's already demonstrated with his footwork and strength what a great asset he is for the whole side.
St Helens pinged here for offside.
Good work by the winger Colin Best. Realised that they fail to get back to 10. He quick played the ball, ran straight at the man. No option by the official.
Richard Swain will restart, and he gives it to King, the man that Phil Clark just talked about. Richard Swain comes this way, and it's through the gap. Richard Horne. Great ball from McMenemy. Great try, Richard Horne.
I'm not so sure that wasn't a touch forward.
Richard Horne with the try for Hull. A great pass inside from McMenemy. It's his 28th birthday, McMenemy, on Monday. It was Horne's 22nd birthday yesterday. The birthday boys have combined.
Pretty difficult to see on that wide angle, but he delayed it. He came at the right time. Richard Horne, the little halfback, he delays it. Oh, just slightly dodgy there as far as I'm concerned. Oof, on that, it looks even worse. You always try to watch where the hands go forward, and they look to have gone forward there. But as a lot of coaches will say, sometimes the
60th consecutive appearance for him, and Paul Cook, Super League's top goal kicker, adds the extras. That's goal number 88 for the season, and Hull have a 6-0 lead, courtesy of Richard Horne. Now then, we have Carl Harrison from the Salford City Reds watching on high with us here tonight. Carl, how would you love to have a player like Richard Horne in your side?
It's certainly very special, you know, half a break, you know, one-on-one. Richard Horne's gone, it's always try time. I thought it was a great play by Shane McManamy there. Took his chance well and put Richard in the clear hole.
Of course, Carl Harrison is a bit of a legend in this part of the world. He was welcomed by all the supporters round the ground when we came up to our commentary position. Oh, and that's a charge down by Gardner and a knock on.
Well, a pretty lazy pass there from the skipper Jason Smith, and Eddie Gardner. Well, it's like a gift. I think he was stunned. Certainly got himself in a good position. Could have been all square.
It's head and feed to Hull, and here is Colin Best. Colin Best, who is off to St George Illawarra in 2005. They have Stephen Kearney coming in here to Hull next year, and Richard Swain there in the head guard, just joining in the fun. He has signed an extension to his contract, but Best and Jason Smith will move out at the end of this year with Sean McRae. And I just wonder, Steve-o, whether Hull will bid farewell to those three at Old Trafford.
Well, that's what they certainly want, and I think today it's an emotional moment for the coach Sean McRae, and I think they're really up for it. You can feel that. I've been impressed the way that this whole side, they've got wonderful team spirit, and they work so hard off the ball, which is so important, as we know. We mentioned the fact earlier they utilise the dummy runners, they come on the angle, and when you've got people like Richard Horne to finish things off, they're going to be thereabouts.
This is Darren Albert, tackled by Swain and Paul King. And it was young Roby at dummy half. He finds Gardner, who is picked up and dunked. A big tackle there by Jason Smith. Fozzard will drive it forward again. High stepping action from Fozzard. They couldn't touch Cunningham, they were all offside. Knock on. But who against? Sculthorpe? Or was it the Hull man?
No, it's Sculthorpe that's lost control of that. Cook came in just a few seconds after it.
And he's limping a bit there, Paul Sculthorpe.
He's got it right, did the official. I say Kirkpatrick has been spot on. He's up for this one. Always helps when you get two great sides battling it out there. You need a good quality referee.
Yeaman for Hull. 14 minutes gone. They lead by 6 points to 0. Can they become the first team other than Bradford, Saints, Wigan and Leeds to compete at the end of season finale? There's great optimism in this part of the world that they can make their first trip to Old Trafford since 1991, when under Noel Cleal they won the Premiership with a victory over Widnes. Horne, great ball, Dow's through the hole, support from Briscoe, and Briscoe's over under the sticks. Sean Briscoe, one of the Super League players of the year, try number 16 of the season. What a start for Sean McRae and Hull.
And what wonderful build-up as well by the Hull side. They don't always just wait until Richard Swain comes into dummy half. You can see the half-backs, you often see the wingers and the centres going. And that was a quick play, the ball, put them into a good position. This was an excellent one. See how it run from the dummy half, they're very close. You can see Paul Wellens very slow to go through, but look at the pass back on the inside. Dow's through, good support. One of the best support teams in rugby league. The black and whites back on the inside. Superb timing by Richard Horne to set Dow's through. And a man who's getting quite regular at this, Sean Briscoe. He's a hero round these parts. He just can't stop scoring tries.
And Paul Cook just can't stop kicking goals, and that's another one for him. And Hull have a 12-0 lead. Briscoe, the try scorer, third on the Super League try-scoring charts, behind Maguire and Vainicolo. And that's a try for him in each of his last 3 matches now. The former Wigan England A international, Sean Briscoe, 21 years of age, and what a talent. Phil Clark, a terrific talent, Briscoe.
He certainly is. You know the try, Eddie, I'm not sure about you, but it was very reminiscent to me, the pass from Horne to Dowes, of a Jason Smith type play where he just drifted across the field, just waited till the right moment, and that split second just to pass back inside. Very often Jason Smith plays the game maybe sometimes slower than his opponents, but he just waits for the defensive line and a gap to appear. And if Jason Smith's had any influence on Richard Horne, then they'll want to hope it's been a great one for the next few years here.
Phil, this whole side, wonderful support play, but they're not frightened of running in each individual player to run into that position at dummy half. They play the ball so quickly.
Well, the whole game's centred around, isn't it, the speed of the play of the ball. If you can get your opponents on the back foot, then you've got players willing to run with the ball, and guys running into holes, and you've got a certain chance. Here's now a kick downfield, great field position here now for the whole side. Just look at the speed of the chase. 12-0, well, we saw that last night. Didn't certainly mean the game wasn't over. Let's have a responsive Saints got in them.
McMenemy got the tackle in, Wellens snuck away from him, and here comes Saints trying to respond now, and this is Willie Tallau.
Good work from the centre, Willie Tallau there. He knew that there was no option on that wild side.
Good run from Gardner, but Whiting and Best just push him over the sideline.
Well, I praise Willie Tallau for using his brains. He was near to the sideline, and then Gardner decides to go that way. There was no other option. He was always going to be over the whitewash.
Richard Whiting National League One Young Player of the Year last year. And
He's a real
certainly,
talent.
well, he is. He's only 19. He might be a candidate for Super League Young Player of the Year. This Richard Horne, a former winner of that award, feeds the scrum. It comes out to Jason Smith. There is Whiting.
He's not frightened to look for work. That's one of the major reasons why he's impressed me this season.
Lovely ball out the back door from Smith to McMenemy.
It's desperation now for St. Helens. They can't afford to ship in yet another try.
This is Paul King. Stankovic got to him. And now Richard Swain. And he finds Richard Horne. Here's the danger man, but he drops it. And Mark Edmondson gobbles it up for Saints.
Sean McRae will get the message out straight away. OK, we're playing good, fancy stuff. It's 12-0 up, but he doesn't want that sort of thing. Position yet again. Shove them back. They're on the rack of St. Helens. Just turn the screw. Should not have tried to offload in heavy traffic.
Great ball off the deck to Kieran Cunningham. And Cunningham so strong, he was almost away from Jason Smith. Paul King came in, and with help from McMenemy, Cunningham is brought to ground. There's too many Macs in this whole side.
But they're all super.
Sculthorpe, high kick. Rayner is underneath it. Albert's hunting it. He's knocked it forward, Albert. It'll be a knock on by Darren Albert.
Yeah. Played for the advantage. Good work by the winger, though. Put himself in a good position. You can see there. Not the best attempt by Gareth Rayner. He certainly lifted himself off the ground a little bit too early.
It was on the last. It's the turnover. Here is Rayner. A good ball away. He's found Horne. Oh, brilliantly picked up out of the air by Jason Smith. He finds McMenemy. Smith again. Pushes it wide to Colin Best. They will have a big hole to fill here. I know that Kearney's on his way over, but when Best goes back to Australia next year, it's a huge void to fill for Hull. This is Ewan Dow. Quick play the ball. Richard Swain. McNicholas.
You can see the trouble signs already on the St. Helens defensive line. They're having a devil of a job to get themselves in front. Some are moving up, others are turning round. You've got to go up there as a unit, and that's a dodgy bouncing ball.
It is, and Whiting was hunting the opportunity, and he gobbled Gardner up. Carl Harrison, you've played here, you were a star with Hull once upon a time. This is a great side that McRae has built.
And also a very, very young team. Sean's done a marvellous job here, along with John Keir, but I was watching the game here, and it's vastly, you can see the difference in the two game plans, whereas St. Helens attacking the short sides, looking for Paul Kick for the weakness. Oh, we're moving the big guys around in the middle and getting at Masons and Fozzards.
They have been out of sorts, St. Helens, lately, but they've kept winning, and that is the sign of a great side, but the signs aren't good tonight.
Well, it certainly won't help them with the...
Sorry, say again, Carl.
They're coming up against a great team, you know, on a good run themselves, and with this marvellous crowd behind them, they're going to take some beating.
And it's Hollywood in possession now. Steve-O?
Well, just making that point that they won't get back into the game if they get the bad rub of the green. That really should have been a penalty the other way around. Edmondson tried to get up. Richard Horne right underneath him.
This is Paul Cook. He just applied the press. Oh, he applied the brakes. And then he tried to get the pass away to Rayner. It dribbled all along the ground and found its way out of the field of play.
And yet again, this is the problem, you know, when you get into a commanding lead. The confidence is running through you. You think I can do everything.
I think, to be fair to Paul Cook, just watch. I think he was losing the ball, and it was a desperation pass. He was losing it because Darren Albert got a fingertip to
Yeah,
it.
but the thing is, possession is vital. You know, two hands, you're in a good position. They really, Hull, haven't had the opportunity to put a grubber kick in and turn the St. Helens side around. That'll be a knock-on. That'll be a knock-on. That'll be play on, no advantage. Then the scrum down.
Yes, Hull will get the ball. Whiting was hunting a try.
The point I'm making, Eddie, is that you know, you score two good tries, you're 12 points up, you know you're breaking through the opposition. There are times when you've got to say to yourself, hey, come on, slow down, let's just screw them.
It's with Smith, now it's with Cook. He saw that Rayner had drifted in off the wing, but then he took the tackle from Wellens and Gilmore. And this is McNicholas again. Sculthorpe there. Farsavalu is in there quickly.
And I'm sure that Ian Millwood will be looking at the fact that, remember, Wigan went into a very commanding lead, 12 points last night, and it was the Bulls that fought their way back. St Helens are a quality side, don't worry about that.
Great hands, Richard Horn, Jason Smith, how about that for a pass to Colin Best? Good job that Talau was there. They're playing with such aplomb at the moment to Hull, and it's a kick out wide from Horn, and it bounces, and Rayner couldn't take it in, and it's a knock-on anyway.
Well, that's a kick that Sean McRae would have been looking for, instead of just trying to be too fancy and keep that ball alive.
Playing with some pomp, though, aren't they?
They
Hull
certainly are, and it is that confidence, but sometimes you just got to control yourself. You know, the adrenaline's pumping through.
And the thing is, Steve-O, and we've been harping on about this for much of the season, Hull last year in the bottom six, they play the bottom six at the end of this season, the extra matches. It's a golden ticket for them to get top of the table.
My word. And in fact, while all the others could be just bruising themselves, they could just roll in very slowly and surely. They've virtually done that throughout this season. It's been a steady climb from this Hull outfit.
Tony Ray was our guest on the programme last week. He said the only negative about that is that Hull could go soft playing the, quote, lesser lights, and just duck because Carl Harrison won't like us saying that. But you know what I mean.
The thing is that they want to finish on the top. They pick up a piece of silverware now. It's been a long time since it's been anywhere around on the East Coast, and they need it, and it'll lift their spirits. But we keep saying it is not a level playing ground.
McNicholas for Hull. They won't worry about that if they finish top of the pile after the weekly rounds. It will be a wonderful opportunity for them to get to Old Trafford via the home route, via the quick route. Long way to go, of course, yet. Not only in this game, but also in the season itself. Last tackle. St Helens won't lie down, that's for sure. Horn was inside the 40 then. And Gardner pouches it well over there on the far side.
Good positioning there by Eddie Gardner.
Good chase, though, by Hull, led by Nick Scruton. 9th in a row for 19-year-old Scruton at substitute for Hull. The latest Leeds front rower to come here. And that was a crunching tackle by Yeaman. Sculthorpe felt that.
He looks out of sorts at Sculthorpe as well. We know that he came into this game a little bit under the weather. But the way that they are just battering them, and that's the error. It went backwards.
That's the referee's call. This is Farsavalu. That's the tackle completed.
A little bit more from this number 9, Kieran Cunningham now. He's done it so often in the past for the St Helens side.
Hooper giving it width to Talau. And Talau, little half break. Great hands from St Helens. Here comes Hooper. And Richard Horn just managed to impede him enough for Colin Best to finish him off. This is the last tackle for Saints. It's a kick out wide here. It's high and it's hanging. Briscoe is underneath it. Oh, and he claims it brilliantly from Paul Wellens. Well, Phil Clark, we've got two great young full-backs on view here tonight, and we saw another one last night in Chris Radlinski.
Outstanding play. I just think the Saints have come alive in the last 3 minutes. The last time Hull had the ball, Saints managed to lift their intensity in defence, and they almost restricted them to, 15-metre gain in 5 tackles. They started to put pressure on them with the marker defenders, and with that sort of ball movement and skill, it's just shown there's no way you can write Saints off. But they've been very slow to start this game well, despite the fact that they came over and actually stayed overnight in Hull. They gave themselves the best possible preparation, but they haven't played a good opening quarter.
No, they came over last year on the day and were beaten here heavily twice, and so Ian Millwood just altered the script a little for this trip this year. Swain belts the ball downfield, and Wellens will have to turn, picks it up 10 metres from his own line.
Quick thinking as well by the hooker, Richard Swain. He was looking for someone to kick. He was looking for either Paul Cook or Richard Horn. No one there. But he had so much time to get that kick away. There was no pressure applied, and that's something that Ian Millwood has to correct. He's got to get the message out. First and second markers, you've got to work hard.
Well, I keep mentioning that Saints have been here last twice and lost, but it should also be remembered that Hull have been beaten by St Helens twice this year, both at Knowsley Road, once in the Super League, once in the Cup quarter-final, February and March of this year. So they know what it takes to beat Hull. Bybee flicks that ball away, but it was never on, and Cunningham just flicked the boot at it, and Richard Swain was the more eager. Here is Scruton again.
To show you the difference between the two sides at the moment. Very quick indeed from the New Zealander Richard Swain. But again, there's problems with this St Helens outfit in the defence. Hull are getting over that advantage. Look at that, they're hanging back.
Colin Best, he gets the ball away. Here is Cook, he gets away from Gilmore, but the trap was sprung by Fasavalu. They have width here with Yeeman. Good tackle by Roby low down.
Watch for an inside pass from Jason Smith.
It's with Paul Cook. Angle kick looking for Briscoe.
Oh, it was taken out. No, said the official.
Well, Cunningham appeared just to step in the way of Sean Briscoe.
Certainly did. He was running sideways. You can only use your shoulder if you're running in the same direction. Cunningham was not doing that. He was going across the line of the body.
Offside now. And John Wilkin, I think, wishes the referee would have blown the whistle earlier than that. He took a real clattering then, did John Wilkin, the former Hull Kingston Rovers man.
And he's going down, maybe just a stray knee. Well, if ever there was an opportunity now for St Helens just to get themselves back into it, they can't really panic. Just slowly, they've got to get themselves in a good position and maybe get a double set of 6.
Well, we saw last night a 12-0 lead was wiped out by Bradford at Wigan early. That's a good ball from Roby.
A little bit flat though by the prop forward Fozzard.
Yes, he didn't really hit it at any pace. This is Hooper, had a great season, Hooper. Good tackling by Swain and Smith on Willie Talau. Sculthorpe shows it to Roby. Long ball to Wellens, and it finds its way to touch. It came off Gareth Rayner, but did Rayner play the ball or the man? Ian Millward will ask the question.
It would be interesting, wasn't it? Oh, he played the man. Went for the tackle, no problem about that. This will be head and feet. Actually never even touched it, so should be the black and whites.
Yes, it's head and feet to Hull.
Carl Harrison mentioned early in this game, Eddie, that when St Helens get themselves into a good attacking position, their ability to work on the short blind side is superb. They can break them open, don't worry about that.
Carl, you're still impressed?
Hull are going, excuse me, Hull are going really well here. And you're talking earlier about, maybe Hull going soft and not winning the bigger games. These are the games Hull have got to win and learn how to win the games. They are a young, inexperienced team, and when the Saints are under par here, they've got to put them to bed.
Yes, it's a good point you make, and Briscoe makes the break, and he has Swain in support with him. And Wellens with a very important tackle. It's with Cook 20 metres away. Jason Smith, a dab over the top, again looking for Briscoe, and Wellens caught it, but Briscoe bundled him over the line, and it's going to be a St Helens dropout. Hull will get it back.
That just shows you the importance of making sure that you've got a man out there that has the ability to put in the lob over the top, the short one onto the ground. We keep mentioning it, but in this modern day, if you get consecutive sets of 6,
Paul Sculthorpe leaving the field. It really has been a running battle between him and the Saints physios, I think, because he was determined to come off. They knew that he was struggling, and eventually I think common sense has reigned, and Paul Sculthorpe has had to leave the field. He's obviously very disappointed at that. He was determined to play here, but it seems to have backfired on Saints.
Don't forget, of course, St Helens have an appointment with the league leaders, the Rhinos, at Headingley on Friday night. So maybe they're looking at that as well. It's on Sky Sports. Sky Sports 1, Friday 7:30, and it is the 500th live Super League match on Sky Sports.
Well, Richard Whiting has just bombed a simple try. He took the option to step back on the inside. He had 2 men overlap, and that's just a flop. Jason Smith coming in very late, but Richard Whiting, I'm afraid, has missed the opportunity. That's how it finished up. It was the build-up to it that the centre just stepped back on the inside. There's the flop, no doubt about it. Pressure is released.
Jason Smith on his way to Canberra Raiders next year. He wants to end 4 years at Hull, walking out at Old Trafford at the head of this team. It's not beyond the bounds of possibility, that.
Well, that really would have just maybe put them to bed if the centre Whiting had looked out onto his right-hand side, went for glory.
This is Keith Mason now. Plays the ball to Cunningham. Roby and Wellens delays the pass. Albert, good ball. Hardman, oh, great defence from Rayner.
Great work. See how they just slide across, make sure they get numbers in front. Forced him out. No opportunity. That's been the difference between the two sides as well. I must say that Hull, this is the set here. Look at that. He went for glory. Gardner had come off the wing. It was a 2-on-1. It would have been a simple try.
Smith to Briscoe. Hooper with the tackle, helped out by John Wilkin. Jason Smith waits dummy half. Finds McMenemy.
Well, they're out of sorts, St Helens, and I'm sure that Ian Mill will be quite happy to just be 12 points down at half-time.
6 minutes to go to the break.
He knows that he's got plenty to say.
Mason is high again.
Well, that's the second one. There's been 3 penalties for the high shot. Certainly into the neck area, not into the face from Keith Mason.
Andy Bailey felt that, though. Vassavalu finished him off for good measure.
The impact, certainly on the top of the chest, but if you finish right up, well, 3 penalties given away by St Helens for high shots. 2 from this fella, 1 from his prop forward partner Nick Fossard.
Well, Paul Cook, the leading goal kicker in the Super League, has decided to take a shot at goal here and try and get the 2 points as John Stankovic comes on. And Mauri Vassavalu goes off. 8th in a row as substitute for the big Samoan. He missed the Challenge Cup final, did Mauri, and he wants a place at the grand final to try and make up for that. And Paul Cook, 36 metres away, almost centre field. Cook kicking so well this year. 82nd consecutive appearance from him as well. It's a great weapon to have in your armoury, a kicker of this man's quality. 14-0, Hull over Saints. Ian Millwood knows he's got problems.
It sure has. The enthusiasm that's been shown by the black and whites has certainly not been matched by his own outfit. And he has plenty to do in the half-time break. It's amazing, though, what that rest can do.
Well, it all began for Ian Millwood on a blustery night at the Boulevard in March 2000. They won 28-20 against a team that had beaten Wigan in the Cup the previous weekend. That's where the Ian Millwood years began for St Helens, just across town at the old Boulevard. But Phil Clark, it was a different Hull side then than it is now.
Yes, he's had some success, hasn't he, in Millwall in his time at St Helens, but he's going to have to do something pretty amazing at half-time if he can turn this around. Hold on the break there, the right-hand side.
They are with Colin Best.
Oh, didn't he do well?
How on earth did he stay in? But he managed it. And Jason Smith probing, flicks it back to Richard Swain. Here's Paul Cook.
Well, there's wonderful play there by Richard Whiting, criticising him for not getting offloaded a few moments ago, but that was a wonderful pass that allowed the winger Colin Best to get away.
Graham Horn, younger brother of Richard, who is on the ball now, just played the ball. And the kick from Richard Horn. Oh, this has got snow on it. He's lost it. And that is lost as well.
Take the first knock on.
Take the first knock on. And Graham Horn thought he was going in for the try, but Hull have head and feet, crucially.
And it's deemed that Paul Wallens, Wallens or Gardner. Looks like Gardner got to it and then lost control.
Heads in, Paul.
Just left it a little bit late. See how it just drifted away. These new stadiums, Eddie, you know, that create such a swirling wind.
Rayner Offloads. There's a chance here for Yeeman. He's in. Gilmore got to him. The post went down. The referee will ask Jerry Kershaw to take him off. But I think Yeeman got the ball down before the post wobbled.
There's not much in it, Eddie.
It's the legs of Gilmore.
Only just. Oh. Gilmore did a fine job, but I think this is going to be given. Slow it frame by frame. That foot is getting very close, but I think the fingertips have it. This will be TRY. They'll go frame by frame. It's there, yep. This will be given.
Just what St Helens didn't want. If it is given, another try before the break.
Next frame, he hits it. TRY, they'll go balmy here. They'll go absolutely bananas. It has been a wonderful performance from the black and whites. Video referee not too sure, but I think this will be TRY. In fact, I'll put the house on this one.
Well, Kirk Eamon, watch the decision. It's a try for him. Tries home and away against St Helens last year. Already his best return this year. And Sean McRae just having a word with Richard Horne, and he will be delighted with that try from Yeeman.
It all came about from the error from Gardner. Good high kick. And you have to credit Sean McRae for getting the message out when they raced into a 12-point lead. They had so much confidence they just kept the ball alive, but it's been brought about by the high kick from Jason Smith. They got the mistake. Good offload. Good work from Paul Cook going round on the arc. And what a finish. Only an inch in it. But sometimes that makes all the difference.
Yeeman, 21 years of age, began the season in the second row. Cook to show his quality. Oh, off the bar. First miss of the night from Cook, but 18-0 for Hull. A dream first half for the black and whites, Phil Clark.
Certainly, as you know, the best teams look to score tries from scrums, and last week Hull managed to do it. Some great footwork from Gareth Rayner. Saints managed to control Rayner, but the offload and the creative play around that really was set up for try, and that is now a killer blow for St Helens. Imagine the fact they've made 7 changes compared to Hull that have only made 3 in this first half. Shows you that their energy levels are very low, and maybe even their enthusiasm might be even dented with an 18-0 half-time scoreline.
7 interchanges by St Helens coach Ian Millwood, some of them obviously forced on by injury. Only 3 for Hull, and that will play an important part in this match late on. He's going to ask the players who are still out there, Steve-O, to be doing a lot of work towards the full-time siren.
Well, they're just really not gone into any sort of pattern. They've lost their shape. Worst of all, when you lose your shape in defence, you suffer.
Darren Albert operating at full back at the moment. We're 2 seconds away from the half-time siren. And Gardner will take this tackle, and there it is. That's a great first half for Hull. A significant first half for them as well. Richard Swain, highly influential around the ruck. They have scored 3 tries. They lead 18 points to 0. Horne, Briscoe and Yeeman right on the stroke of the half-time siren. And St Helens with a lot of work to do in that dressing room during the half-time break. A little disjointed because of suspension and injury, St Helens. They've been winning. Richard Whiting will get us underway for the second 40. And into the sunshine, and Darren Albert turns his back and gives it to Fozzard. And here now is young Ian Hardman. Sun streaming down in Hull tonight. A touch of summer late in the day. There's been some absolutely torrential downpours throughout the country today, but it's thankfully cleared, and the conditions are good here at Hull tonight. And this is Cunningham. Saints looking to respond.
Well, he's a man that can do that, and I'm sure that his coach Ian Millwood would have said to him, come on fellas, look at yourself in the mirror. It wasn't the best showing. take nothing away from the whole defence and the way that they just clattered them. But they really just look off song at the moment, St Helens, and they need someone to spark them. And that man could very well be Kieran Cunningham.
Well, he is the man, as you say, and particularly with Paul Sculthorpe off the field now, he is the man who could lift this St Helens side. That's Graham Horne. He plays the ball to Swain. This is McNicholas. Good tackling there by James Roby. 3 games in 8 days last week, the centrepiece of his season, and he really has cemented a place for himself now in the squad. Big hit there by Fossard on Horne. And Jason Smith was under pressure from Fossard, who caught him a little bit under the chin. Darren Albert to run it back for St Helens. If you show him the other end, there's every chance the fastest man in rugby league will punish you. Here's Hardman.
Well, not surprisingly, we see Hull kicking into that far corner on St Helens' right-hand side, where the sun will become a problem. Probably will be a problem there for about another 10 minutes.
Fossard loops the ball over the top. It's picked up by Keith Mason.
Also a big problem for Saints is that when they do have someone spinning, like we saw there, Fossard, the support play looks, well, slow and surprised.
This is a good run, though. Terrific run from Wilkin. Oh, he got the ball to Tallow, couldn't take it in. And here now come Hull in response with Colin Best.
You really should have taken that, Willie Tallow. Good offload. They've got to make sure that it sticks.
McMenemy plays the ball to Colin Best. Here is McNicholas. Big, tall man, McNicholas. In fact, they call him the Huntsman. That's his nickname. And isn't the Huntsman a leggy spider, Steve-O, is that right? You would know these things.
Yes, it is. And
a venomous one.
No, it isn't.
No? Oh, okay. Sounds it, doesn't it?
Certainly sounds it. It looks like it. Frightens you to death. It's about half the size of a dinner plate.
Well, Paul McNicholas frightens a few defences to death. And this is Jason Smith. And they're saying he was caught high. And it's a knock on. Sean McRae looking anxiously on.
Well, now then, was that a grab with a finger?
Yeah, it's good now, Jerry.
Well, he didn't have any blood on his eyebrow when he went into the tackle, and it appeared that he certainly had after it. It was either that, maybe a stray nail, or was it the impact of the knee that came in quite late?
Let's go down to the side, because Bill has got the man who led the 2 teams out tonight with him, Steve Prescott.
Yeah, Steve with a foot in both camps, and 18-0 down, but you wouldn't put this past Saints, would you?
No, you wouldn't. They're a great attacking side, aren't they? But Hull are really defending well, you know. That showed that at the start of the game, and Saints have put them under pressure, and they couldn't get over the line, could they?
Do you think Saints look out of sorts?
No, not really. They've just not took the chances. Hull have defended well. I think Paul Sculthorpe's a big loss for them, so they've just got to adjust off the loss, you know, and see how they go.
Yeah, the word is that Paul Sculthorpe won't be coming back. They will miss him.
Oh, definitely. He's a great player, isn't he? World-class player, you know.
Whiting has picked up a loose ball, and Whiting looked over his shoulder. It was Colin Best who was steaming up in support. It's a penalty here for Jason Hooper, and he might go to the bin for that. But that was a professional foul.
Certainly was.
And in back play, Shane McMenemy is very groggy.
He got back well, did Jason Hooper. He had to. It was well picked up by Richard Whiting, who on that occasion made sure he didn't go anywhere near the whitewash. Great cover defence from Jason Hooper. It had to be.
Andy Bailey here for Hull. He plays the ball to Richard Swain. Richard Horne. A good pass, and almost through was Graham Horne. They're going down the short side with Cook. Swain again. McNicholas on the charge. Good defence from Saints. And it has to be. They've still got 2 tackles remaining. Richard Horne changes the direction of the attack. Single-handedly flicks the ball out the back. It's collected by Paul Cook. They've lost a bit of momentum there with that.
Show the upper body strength there from Richard Horne.
And Briscoe with a kick wide. Collected by Colin Best, but he's surrounded by three. And that's the turnover, says referee Carl Kirkpatrick.
Not happy, Sean McRae.
That was really dreadful, I think he said.
Well, the thing is that he knows that the commanding lead, Eddie. We keep saying it. You've got to work the angles and make sure that keep them turning around. Just a little dink into the in-goal area. That's all they need.
This is Roby. 13,000 in here tonight and one blue suit. Phil?
Yeah, I don't know about my blue suit, but I think I thought we might drop that. I thought I could have got away with it actually, but Trigger from Only for the North is a big hero man. That's why I put it on in memory of him. I think Ian Millwall's done a pretty good job at half-time. The Saints have started the second half fantastic, really. They've lifted their game and at this stage playing very evenly. I just don't know whether they're going to have the players. They're giving it the best shot here now for 10 to 15 minutes, and I suppose they need some reward for that effort if it's going to get them back into the game. That kick's gone too far and they can't quite. Has it gone too far? Wow.
Yes, it bounced on the line. Wellens was claiming the try, but the ball was already on the line, and Gareth Rayner had taken the gamble.
Yep.
Yes, one bounce.
Two bounce.
This is Paul Cook. Swain. Yes, that's the point. We interrupted Bill, Arthur and Steve Prescott, didn't we, just a few minutes ago with that break from Richard Whiting. Let's get back to the two of them now.
Thanks, Eddie. Just a point, Steve, that Hull have had a lot more chances than that scoreboard would suggest. Is that going to come back to haunt them, do you think?
No, well, it's not on them at the moment, is it? They're 18-0 up and defending really well. I know they're flicking a few balls out left, right and centre like the Harlem Globetrotters at sometimes, but no, they're going really well, defending really well, and that's what's winning them the game. Breaking through again.
Briscoe, and an invitation for Best to chase it. If it bounces, Best will score. Terrific try from Colin Best. He's not given it yet, he wants to check the grounding. Check the grounding, he's not worried about the offside.
Nothing wrong with the grounding. This is TRY. What a beautiful short ball here. Back on the inside. Briscoe just breezes through. Realises that they drifted in. Nothing wrong with this at all. Simple.
Well, it's there, they may as well use it, and the roof will lift here. Hull get the try. Colin Best, the kick from Briscoe, the pass from King. And Hull are running as hot as anyone in the Tetley Super League at the moment.
Superb. Pulling the defence, then the offload back on the inside. Clever kick through there, and as his name implies, he just simply is. Wonderful stuff from King. We keep saying it time and time again. When Paul King is on song, boy, they play a good tune. To these boys in black and white. Confirmation on the screen, and as Eddie mentioned, they have gone wild. This is champagne rugby league football. They'll be sad to lose this fellow next season.
They will. He hasn't scored for the last two, Colin Best. 6 games in a row prior to that, though, and on his way to St George Illawarra next year. A little bit homesick from all accounts, but boy, he will leave a void. And Cook just can't add the extras on that occasion. But 22 points to nil, Hull lead, and it is now Hull's match to lose rather than St Helens' match to win. Carl Harrison, would you agree with that sentiment? Hull now surely can only conspire to lose this themselves.
Yeah, the start of the half, was quite level, but it was only a matter of time before Hull took advantage of getting down the middle of the field again. At the moment, St Helens are just not in the ball game defensively. They're all over the place, and the big guys are just missing far too many tackles.
They didn't miss that one on Gareth Rayner. It was Fozzard and it was Cunningham. But here is Paul King. Mason and Cunningham again. This is Richard Swain. The missed tackles 16 and Hull just the 4.
And as we mentioned at half-time, it is a problem for them. The St. Helens can't get into good field position, but worst of all is that their lack of ability to complete their sets.
This is Andy Bailey, and that was a bit high from Mason again.
He's got to be very careful as Keith Mason and his partner Nick Fozzard.
Oh, Wilkin was high on King then. Oh, it's on. Well, King just held his temper, I think, but only just.
Well, it was coming, wasn't it? Wilkin went straight in over the shoulder, made the impact on King, and not surprisingly, tempers have flared. Bang, here it comes.
Same as Keith Mason, you're going to have to
And you've got to maybe point the
That's for me to deal with, not you.
finger at the official Carl Kirkpatrick. We've had quite a few of those, and it's about time that he has a little word and maybe a little talk to both skippers also.
I got the headshot. Let me referee the game. We don't need any of that. That's what causes trouble.
Well, it is what causes trouble, but I must commend Paul King there because he kept control of himself somehow.
Well, he lost it and then regathered his
Yes,
thoughts.
he just counted to 10 at the right moment. And Sean McRae's on the phone. I wonder who he's talking to. Maybe the telecommunications system has failed. That's who he's talking to. I think that's Paul McNicholas on the blower, isn't it? Paul Cook with the penalty from the high shot. He's kicked it. 24-0. I think it's now a matter of how many for Hull.
When the nerves are frayed, it also helps the game, and especially the referee. If the penalty is awarded, it gives them time by the minutes that just tick away whilst he prepares himself for the kick.
To be fair to Carl Kirkpatrick, by the way, he did say, I've mentioned to Keith Mason a couple of times, and now I'm telling you, you've got to sort out this tackling technique. Here's King again, he won't shirk it.
He should not be telling individual players. He should be bringing the captains together and making sure that they're both aware.
Well, is there any reason why he should have brought Jason Smith?
Yes, because both sides were losing their tempers. Look, there's no excuse for a coach to complain.
Dancing feet from Horn. Lost. No, it wasn't lost by Briscoe. He managed to hang on. Richard Swain. He's having a cracker, isn't he, Richard Swain? He's celebrating that new contract.
That are appearing now.
Jason Smith with a kick over the top. Aidy Gardner gobbles it in.
He did well there, Gardner. Exceptionally well. Under a lot of pressure, they certainly applied it with a kick to his corner.
It's all Hull this second half. Oh, Hardman has dropped it. Pressure, pressure, pressure.
It's a tourniquet system, isn't it? They're just stopping the blood. There is nothing flowing from this St. Helens camp. They, apart from the opportunity in the opening 5 minutes when Kieran Cunningham ran from dummy half, I really can't remember where St. Helens have really applied and looked as though they were going to score.
Referee wants the packs of forwards to put their heads in the scrum, both of them. So he's brought them back. Rayner thought he was over for another try.
Watch for the set move here.
Jason Smith to Kirk Yeeman. Ian Millwood has a little, well, not a little, a major problem between now and the end of the season. Colin Best. Richard Swain. King. Good drive to the line in here. Took Mason with him. Swain. Richard Horn. Oh, off the shoulder. It was a bit too fancy, that.
The idea was good. Ewan Dowes was coming back on the inside. It just shows you the difference between the outfits. The build-up to that one, that you could see the way that Sean Briscoe was running as a dummy runner across the man's field of play. He runs one way. It's not a shepherd because he's so far away from the defensive line. but it still confuses you.
Well, Sean McRae, the Hull coach, he was lured to Britain by St Helens in 1996. He is going home to take charge of the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So it's now or never for Sean McRae to walk out at Old Trafford on the grand final. It's now or never for St Helens in this match. Here's Cunningham. What a run from the hooker.
Tremendous vision there. There's a Saints player down in back play.
This is Hooper meanwhile, and he finds John Wilkin, who in turn finds Darren Albert, and this whole defence gobbles him up.
That'll be the handover. Tackle was complete. Albert tried to squeeze it out, but to no avail.
It's John Stankovic, by the way, over on the far side as we watch the replay. John Stankovic, whose very career was threatened by a shoulder injury earlier this year. And don't tell me that it's happened again. He missed 16 at the start of the year.
He looks in a lot of pain. I'm with you, Eddie. Let's hope it's not that same injury.
Here goes Colin Best. Passes away to Richard Horne, who was tackled brilliantly by Wellens. Richard Swain goes wide to Graham Horne. And Yeaman gives it to Rayner, who's got some pace. Fashavlu gets to him. Graham Horne. Richard Swain. Paul Cook. A dab over the top. Briscoe's after this. Briscoe's after this. Jason Hooper does brilliantly well. Jason Hooper does excellently and gets the ball away to Edmondson. Oh, he just couldn't take the ball in, Gardner.
He fully deserved a try. There's the anguish on the face of the injured John Stankovic, and whilst he has been assisted off, wonderful season this guy, Jason Hooper. He should have got it. He was in open space. You could see there that Colin Best was out of position. He was well behind him. Anguish also for the coach. He knows this has not been their night.
Yeaman. Good tackle by Roby and Hardman, the two youngsters. Rayner dances away from one, can't get away. Releases the ball. Cook on one knee. Here comes McNicholas.
Oh, they're playing with him now. They're getting the offloads with ease.
McNicholas has put the phone down and has come out to take Sean McRae's instructions with him. Ewan Dowes finds Richard Swain.
Again, we see that little move back on the inside. They use the prop forward, Ewan Dowes, so effectively. He's very quick, you know, for his size.
Colin Best, good tackle that by Eddie Gardner. If he was round him, Best was home for the try. Jason Smith. Paul King again. Offloads and it bounces. Swain picks it up. This is Briscoe. There is space for Briscoe. It goes wide and wide to Rayner, and that's going to be a try. They can't go for the forward passes, and one of them did look a touch forward, but Gareth Rayner, who passed the fitness test just before this match, has scored the try that I think eventually will put St Helens to bed once and for all.
Nothing better for the coach to see from one touchline that the ball is plunked down on the other side. If you can get a link working, it got Briscoe away. That was definitely forward, no doubt in my mind, but take nothing away with the ability of Kirk Yeaman. Forget about the momentum rule, but the ability to just go through yet another missed tackle. That was forward. It should have been picked up by the officials. Yet it is. No momentum. Is it touched though? It started as a forward, so even though it touches it, Ian Hardman. Great work by Yeaman. Rayner said, I'll take the 4, but he knows that should have been no try.
Ian Millward's face said it all then. Rayner past fit to play at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And Paul Cook from way out, and Gareth Rayner looks like he's being withdrawn now by coach Sean McRae. He has plenty of substitutions to play with. Cook with the kick, trying to slide it over, which What a night for the men from Humberside.
I'm sure that Sean McRae will want to see a ruthless demolition here of the St Helens side, because if there's one thing you want to do, you want to build sort of an intimidating factor about your home ground. And when teams come here, they've got to dread playing against Hull, and that's what they want to develop over a period of time. For St Helens, it's simply about pride and survival at this stage, really, now in the game. They've seemed to have racked up a number of injuries, and everything's going against them. The Hull side are a great team to watch, the way they keep the ball alive and support the ball play. And, you know, very, very difficult team to play against. They'll only Leeds, as you say, have come here and had a win. And you just wonder if anyone else can come and do it this year.
Indeed so, and if they do finish first or second in the Super League table, and it is a possibility, they will have at least one crack at getting to Old Trafford via the home route. I've got a question I'd like to ask Carl Harrison, who is a former great test prop himself, as the ball is put down by Richard Horne. Carl, do you think that Paul King is playing his way back into Great Britain contention tonight?
He's certainly up there with the best of the country. He's explosive, he's got skills. As you saw from an earlier instance, you know, he's getting real control of himself, and he's certainly one of the best in the country. I would pick him.
You would give him a cap?
I certainly would.
In the Tri-Nations?
He's a tough kid.
Well, that is a big recommendation. This is Darren Albert, meanwhile, not tackled. Briscoe gets to him eventually. And Talau finds Wilkin. At the moment, of course, we just saw that Paul King is off the field and on the sideline. This is Gardner, and the ball bounced in front of him, and that lost the momentum. Managed to keep it in somehow. Darren Albert for St Helens now. What would Saints give for a try, just to lift their confidence a bit? Cunningham. Jason Hooper stabs the ball through, picked up brilliantly by Cook.
What a take on the half volley. Hooper dinked it through, came off his foot. And again, we see this ability of this whole side to share the work. So important. You go into the final quarter and you've just got that little bit of reserve.
And that's a high challenge by Nick Fozzard.
That's a grapple tackle.
A grapple tackle, according to the referee, where they grab the head and the neck and wrestle the player to the ground. This is outlawed.
Well, this is one thing that all the Super League coaches wanted outlawing, and it is a good idea.
Steve-O, I know that Sean McRae is going home to Australia, and which Australian doesn't want to go home to a job in their home country one of these days, but what is he leaving behind here? It is a team that can go places for years to come.
Oh, without a doubt, because he got the youth on his side, and he will leave a great legacy. And let's not take away the fact that John Keir is no slouch. Anyone that can take a side and win at Wembley against a side like Wigan, which he did do.
Don't think he's actually been confirmed in the job yet, but it is expected, isn't it?
Well, one would hope that the assistant on his right-hand side is Sean McRae. I can't think of anybody else that he could give it to.
Oh, it's a great kick again. Talau is trapped in goal by Whiting. He doesn't like it, will he, Talau?
Well, I don't know why. It was nothing more than just a little push. And it's like that old saying, isn't it? Winners are grinners. A little bit concerned on the coaching camp there. Nothing in this at all. It was just a little push, that's all.
Well, he wasn't expecting to let him run out of the in-goal area, surely. Carl Harrison, what about the Sean McRae point? It is a temptation to go home. He's not going to one of the top clubs in Sydney just yet. He's leaving behind a team that could win the grand final.
What it reminds me of is when Brian Smith left Hull. I went back home to St George and left Noel clearly in charge, and we went on to win the Premiership against Widnes at Old Trafford, and it's a very, very similar situation. He's got a great team here. It's a shame he can't build it any further.
It is a great shame, but that team that you're talking about, it lasted about 2 years. It didn't kick on, did it?
Well, they've got the youth here, haven't they, Carl?
Well, we were a youthful team, but...
Oh, and here they come again.
It was down to money, I think. A lot of it, the team broke up down to money.
They have a man on the overlap wide. Yeeman! Second try for Kirk Yeeman. They are loving this. Kirk Yeeman and the whole crowd taunts St Helens. They say it's easy, easy. but it hasn't been easy. It has been a battle. But for St Helens, they haven't really been at the races, and their supporters know that. Their coach will know it, and the players will know it in training on Monday.
Just basics. See how they came out of the line. Ian Hardman were left in no man's land. He was finishing up with 3-on-1. That's the ability there of Paul Cook. We keep mentioning the fact that Hull, the effort that they have with players running that are not involved with the ball. That pass from Cook went across the chest of two would-be runners, which sucked in the winger, Ian Hardman, and left Yeoman with a simple job. It looks simple, but they work hard at it. And the harder you work sometimes, the luckier you become. But there's nothing lucky really about this effort. An all-round great showing from this Hull outfit.
Paul Cook to try and add the extras to Kirk Eamon's 10th try of the season. Misses this time. 34 points to 0. Bill, some injury news.
Well, it's just turning into one of those nights for St Helens. Didn't start off so well with Paul Sculthorpe suffering what looked like a recurrence of the injury that had kept him in doubt. And now John Stankovic, it seems like a groin injury. There's certainly treatment going on the Saints bench, and you've got to wonder what sort of shape they're going to be in for next weekend's equally big game at Headingley against Leeds, and it really could be a crucial phase of the season for Saints, Phil.
It certainly could, Bill, and when you talk about next week, I just wonder what the look on Carl Harrison's face is, because if my memory serves me right, don't Hull go all the way over to Salford and take on them? At the moment they're looking unbeatable, and I suppose the next 20 minutes won't probably do much to make Carl Harrison think that next week will be an easy game against the Black and Whites.
Well, we'll see what Carl's reaction is about that. They play Hull next week, apparently, Salford City Reds. You fancying the challenge?
It's always nice to play against Hull, but on this form, you never know. They may undercut for us, but I doubt it. You know, they want to finish top of the ladder.
They do.
Themselves the best chance to get to the grand final, which is what it's all about.
And to be fair to Salford, you have been playing so well lately, you just haven't had the rub of the green, have you?
We've been playing okay most of the season, and obviously one of our worst days was here against this mob, but we want to put that record one, put it straight, but they're a quality team and we've got it to do.
Yes, the day that Carl is talking about, Carl, just take your headphones off. It was Hull 82, Salford 6. And the day that Bill, Arthur and Phil were talking about on the sideline, when Leeds went to St Helens, Leeds were beaten by 56 points to 10. So the rematch next Friday, do not expect any favours from the Leeds Rhinos. It's Friday at 7:30 on Sky Sports 1. The Rhinos and the Saints. This time next week we'll be in the middle of the Giants and the Wolves. Sky Sports 1 again. 34-0 here for Hull, 12 minutes just shy of to go.
Certainly makes things interesting, doesn't it? But you just get the feel here at this new stadium. There's a real buzz.
There is, and if we talk about Hull as possible league leaders, and we say that this is a critical phase of the year for St Helens, I don't think we're overemphasising the situation somehow.
No, not whatsoever, but it just shows you when you're missing players, be it through suspension or be it through injury, it will still take its toll. The fittest side will go to Old Trafford, both of them.
Well, it was 1 against 3 last year for the first time, and no one outside the top two has yet won there. Richard Horne, for once the sights weren't quite set.
The biggest thing now that Sean McRae and John Keir have to try to get into this Hull side, we know what they're capable of. But there's a lot of players out there, they have never experienced this sudden death, this real pressure cooker that occurs when we go into the playoffs.
Well, Hull they've been there 2 out of 3 years, I think, haven't they?
Yeah, but I'm talking about a lot of the youngsters that are out there now.
You're right, okay.
Will have not experienced that.
Lee Gilmore comes to the blood bin, that's another change for St Helens. So they are rapidly running out of substitutions. This is going to be their last change if they replace him. They're trying to patch him up on the side. Here's Talau. Tried to run over the top of Whiting. And with help from Horn, the New Zealand international was brought to the ground. Darren Albert.
It's going to be very difficult in regards to...
They haven't replaced, by the way, Lee Gilmore yet. They're playing with 12 as he gets the petroleum jelly applied to the head. Bybee. Edmondson. Oh, and Pasavalu has escaped the clutches. There's Hardman out wide, and Hardman cutting in, and Hull don't want this line breached.
Good work by Yeaman, came back, saw that the ball was going to come in from the whitewash.
They've done so much work on their defence this year, Hull. This is Ricky Bybee.
Well, that'll be the message that Sean McRae will get out. We do not give up a try.
That ball came out. It's with Mason. It's now with Wellens. And here come Saints in the shape of Gilmore with the cut head. That's the last tackle. Roby. Oh, Mason puts it down. It's not St Helens night.
No, it hasn't been that way, but far too often during this game that we've seen St Helens, when they do offload, that the support play is very, very flat. Not so with this Hull side.
What we should also remember about St Helens is that they have played Super League opposition right the way through from day one. This is the 21st match. It's been Super League games, or Super League teams they faced, even in the Cup, all the way to Cardiff in the Challenge Cup final. They've only had 3 defeats prior to this. This is going to be number 4. Bradford, Wigan and Wakefield, the others.
Oh, don't write them off.
Well, you can't. And there's another St Helens player down. It's Edmondson. As the big hoof downfield from Jason Smith turns Darren Albert around. And Yeaman clatters him.
He's impressed me tonight also as Kirk Yeaman, but I think the centre combination of Yeaman and Whiting certainly got the better of Gilmore and Tallow. Tallow and Gilmore have had virtually to do nearly all the defending. But they've just looked a little bit lost, St Helens. Needed that little bit of spark and a little bit more guidance. The mere fact that they lost Paul Sculthorpe early didn't help matters.
It's been all Hull in the second half. It's been all Hull from the start, really. There was a couple of moments in the first half when Sculthorpe was out there that St Helens had hope. It's great defence from Hull. What do Australian coaches say? You defend well, you win matches. And they have certainly smartened their defensive act up this year, Hull.
Well, we saw that last night, didn't we, when Bradford applied so much pressure in the second half. They took the lead. It looked as though they were just going to blitz Wigan apart, and it was a 7-8 minute period where the Wigan defence was just unbelievable.
See Barnett Jr. with the run. Yes, they did dig deep last night, Wigan. And they do that, don't they, do at Wigan? Richard Swain. King. Offload to Swain. It's all coming off for Hull. Jason Smith. Can't put him down. Eventually they do.
Well, now the final minutes, they can enjoy themselves. The scoreline at 34-0. It's difficult because a lot of players, they often say, I want a little bit of glory myself.
Last tackle here for Hull. It's with Best. There's the kick. And Darren Albert's after this. And they let it go touch in goal. Well, St Helens just 6 minutes away now from being nilled in Super League for the first time ever in 9 years. And Phil Clark, if it happens, that is a significant night for Hull.
I think it's testimony to the improvement in the Hull side, certainly in the defensive side of the game we've already spoken about. But I think, you know, one thing that a coach can give his player many things. He can give them advice, he can give them tactics, he can give them tips, but he can't give them desire. And yet you're still seeing a tremendous effort from the St Helens players. Still got a desire to compete as if the score was still 0-0 and they're looking for a try to win this game.
St Helens were nilled in the World Club Challenge last year, of course, but this is the Super League where it really matters. You can get in the World Club Challenge next year if you win the Super League, and that's what St Helens and all the rest will want to do. And that was Paul Wellens. This is Willie Tallow.
Well, they're still working for that consolation try that they need.
And they are, but Hull are still working to keep them out. Wilkin dabs the kick through, looks for it himself. Paul Cook comes in and drops on the ball gratefully. Nearly to the 75th minute. And St Helens still looking for their first points of the night. Briscoe gets to his feet, plays the ball to Cook. Here is McMenemy. Here is Andy Bailey, rather.
What's amazing thing about this victory by Hull is that the St Helens side, we know what quality they have, but I only can think of one point in time in either half that they look like scoring. It's amazing, this defensive effort from Hull.
It is, and I wonder if that defensive effort has earned somebody a man of the match performance. Here is Paul King. He hacks the ball, tried to get it over the head of Darren Albert. It went backwards. I wonder if that little run has tipped the balance in Paul King's favour. Let's find out who is the man of the match, courtesy of our friends in the media and their spokesman, Dave Hadfield.
A lot of candidates on the Hull side, Eddie, a lot of people who could have got it. Nobody on St Helens side who will feel that they've played up to their ability today. There have been votes for Sean Briscoe, for Paul Cook, for Richard Horne, but the man that we've gone for in the end, and we have just seen him produce a little bit of something unorthodox there, Paul King. His support, his driving play down the middle, his handling, it's all been absolutely top draw, and it's had a lot to do with Hull's success today.
He has, but Gilmore will get over for the try for St Helens that maintains their record of never having been nilled in the Super League before. But there is Paul King, the man of the match, and there is Ian Millwood, the coach of Saints, who has got a lot of work to do. And Sean McRae is not impressed with the fact that Hull have allowed St Helens in for the try. It's Gilmore's ninth.
And he's played well as Lee Gilmore in a beaten side early on in this match. Got through a lot of work in defence, and they just held off. They were basking in the glory, I'm afraid, was the Hull defence, and that's the reason why Sean McRae was not impressed. And it just gets back to that point. We talk about the killer touch, the professionalism. Obviously the word would have been sent out from McRae, we do not let them score. Okay, they won the ball game, but the little mind battle, the psychological battle that the coach was trying to get through to his players has just been shattered.
Yes, Lee Gilmore's try will not go down well with Sean McRae. Hooper is about to take the conversion from bang in front of the sticks. There's no Paul Sculplob, of course. And Hooper adds the extras. It's 34 points to 6. Carl Harrison has been our guest all night. A hugely impressive performance from Hull. But Sean McRae, as all you coaches are, if you've got a team nilled and on the rack, you wouldn't want them to be over for that try, would you?
It's just taken the icing off the cake for him, you know. They played supremely well. They bombed a few chances themselves, but to concede a soft try, and it was a soft try, in the final few minutes, he will be absolutely gutted.
Yes, in the overall context of the match, it matters not, but in, as Steve-O says, the mind games, the fact that you've got the steel in defence, that you're not breached.
We've seen there's bigger games than this to come this season. Saints will come across Hull again, and you've got to try and reinforce them demons later on in the season, and it's a little bit of a soft one for him.
But it will be a sweet moment for Sean McRae nonetheless. Another big win against his former club here at the KC Stadium. Bradford at Odsal, of course, they won there for the first time in Super League. And can they become the first team other than the so-called Big Four to compete in the end of season finale at Old Trafford? I wonder. Bivey, poor kick down the throat of Briscoe to Richie Barnett Jr. This fellow is electric, by the way. 9 tries, Richie Barnett.
Well, they'll be trying their best now to keep this ball alive and make sure that they get back the 6 points that they've conceded. Oh, that was a high one there.
Well, that was a grapple tackle.
Certainly was. Ricky Bivey didn't miss.
Kick downfield is fielded by A.D. Gardner. There are 30 seconds remaining here. Gardner will play the ball to Willie Tallow. It should also be emphasised, and we've been talking about St Helens suspensions and injuries, Sean McRae would point to 7 players tonight who are out of this team who would be in the 17-man squad?
They all have problems, Eddie. Well, I think the smile says it all for Sean McRae. It was an emotional day for him, wasn't it?
Briscoe did ever so well then. There's the full-time siren. Hull will settle for 34-6. Sean McRae will settle for 34-6. And John Keir, his probable successor, with a big smile on his face. Hull goes second in the Super League table, right behind the Rhinos. And points difference could really be important in a tight top 5 or 6. And Hull have done themselves no harm at all here tonight. Sean Briscoe, the last line of defence and so often the first line of attack for Hull. A terrific performance from the black and whites. And St Helens had better get themselves out of here quickly tonight, because apart from all their other problems here, the M62 motorway around the Castleford area will close westbound. If they're caught up in that, it will just about finish their evening off. Let's go down to pitch side. An emotional night for Sean McRae.
Sean, it was an emotional night, a sombre start to it with a minute's silence in memory of your father, but to end it like this must put a bit of a glow on the night.
He'd be very happy, very proud. You know, I'm with these guys. It was a very good week's preparation. They knew, you know, with Precky leading the sides out and the minute's silence, they knew what it meant to the club, and I think they've responded tonight in the way you'd expect a good side to. Takes a great effort to beat a side like St Helens by that scoreline, and you know, I know they had a little bit of luck. They were a bit unlucky with a couple of key players having to leave the field, but you know, it's about us tonight, I suppose. We played really well, and we've excelled in all departments, and as I said, I'm just delighted for the players and delighted with the 2 points.
Do you realise you were within 6 minutes of being the first side to nil Saints in Super League?
Or maybe someone saw my disappointment at them scoring, but gee, the modern game, I suppose any game of rugby league, it's hard to nil a side, and you know, we'll take that scoreline any time, Bill.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks very much.
Let's bring the man of the match in. Paul King, congratulations. That scoreboard must make very pleasing reading.
Yeah, we did it twice to him last year, and nice to do it again. Good feeling. Get second place and Jason Leeds.
And I think Ian Millwood, even in the build-up to this game, suggested if you beat them tonight, you go second, and then you've got a real prospect of finishing first.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've got a great bunch of lads down here. We've got hard running, actually, with Wigan, Bradford twice. Hopefully we'll get results against them. We've got a good chance.
Well done, Paul.
Thank you.
Great performance from Paul King, and a great performance from the Hull team as well. 2 from Yeaman, Richard Horne, Best, Briscoe and Cook with the 5 goals. 34 points to 6. Gilmore and Hooper late on. Almost 13,000 here. 18-0 at half-time. It was won really by the half-time siren.